بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد إن معه جبل خبز ونهار ماء فيأمر السماء فتمطر والأرض فتنبت. The resources and the reserves and the advent of Dajjal, food and water will be in his control. As people of Iman, itself Iman motivates a believer to be prepared for all conditions, all situations. Our primary preparation is Amal, such as Salah that will draw Allah's help, such Dua that will change destiny, such Wazaif that will prevent things from happening. We've got keys to unlimited treasures. All the resources on earth put together cannot come close to a believer and the resources which Allah has given us through Janabi Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. All we need to do is make effort on that, make effort on yaqeen, make effort on amal, and make a niyyah to change to a resolute, a firm intention of moving towards haqq and utilizing our little bit life left for the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So asbab wise, amal, we are primarily in the front line, and asbab wise as well, whatever preparation is needed and can be done, mastata'atum gives us a license to prepare according to our capacity. So one is not exonerated from utilizing asbab generally, but we are encouraged according to our capacity, whatever is in your potential. For example, somebody is worried about fires, so what should they do in their home? So one person decides, you know what, I can only afford a fire extinguisher in one room. Somebody else puts fire extinguishers in every room. Somebody else moves a notch up. He says, I'll put fire blankets in every room. Somebody else moves another notch up. He says, I want smoke alarms in every room. Somebody else, they have fire hydrants close to the exits. Somebody else says, we've got a swimming pool, so I will connect a pump to the swimming pool in case of a fire. The pressure will not be strong enough from a normal hose, so I will add that as well. Somebody else gets a full fireman suit with the oxygen tanks, etc. So whatever is in your capacity, as far down the line you can go. So we are witnessing different occurrences globally. We are seeing the signs, the minor signs of Qiyaamah in front of us. We are seeing the prelude to many of the signs. What am I doing? How much have I changed? How much am I carrying on my same routine every day, every week, every month, the entire year, moving in the same trajectory, the same routine? We've witnessed COVID, we've witnessed riots, we've witnessed looting. Did we just get some josh, some ambition, did one or two minor changes and move back to our normal lives, carrying on the same routine, encouraging our children with the same things? But we've not progressed as an ummah, we've not progressed as a country, we've not progressed as a community, we've not even progressed as a household. So as people of Iman, we need to take advantage before people take advantage of us. Take advantage before you are taken advantage of. Use what you can before others will abuse. So now, while there's a chance, while we have opportunity, while we've got the health, while we've got the breath, while we've got the youth, while we've got the energy, while we've got the resources, and the people of dunya rely on systems, and it's a limit. But when you rely on Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, then it is unlimited. There's no limits. Somebody, a youngster, went for an interview for a signalman's job on the railway. So on the interview, the inspector asked him, what would you do if you realized there were two trains heading towards each other on the same track? So the youngster said, I'll switch the points for one of the trains. Then the inspector asked, but what would you do if the lever broke? As you try to switch lanes, it broke. So he said, no problem, I'll rush down from the signal box and use a manual lever, the override. And he says, what if the manual lever was struck by lightning? Say, I go to the emergency phone and contact the next signal box. Said, what if you make the call and the phone is engaged? Said, I'll go to the emergency phone at the level crossing. Said, what if the emergency phone is vandalized? Said, in that case, I'll have to run to the village and fetch my uncle. So the inspector looked at him. Said, why would you want to do that? Thinking that maybe his uncle was an expert, or he was somebody good at it, or he would give him a solution. He said, because my uncle has never seen a train crash. My uncle has never seen a train crash. So, systems of the world, there's a limit to that. But for deen, we have an unlimited treasure. And we need to be expounding this as well. And sometimes people say, just tawakkul. Yes, that's in its place. But we need to spend time firstly with the ulama to understand what is tawakkul, and spend time with the mutawakkilin to learn tawakkul. Go in the effort of yaqeen, the effort of iman. Go khuruj fi sabilillah. Learn what is iman and yaqeen. Then when you know tawakkul, then you can talk tawakkul. Like Ml Thanwi used to explain that when anything comes, we should choose the easier method. And if a person chooses a more difficult method, it is against the sunnah. Nabi alayhi salam had so much more courage, so much more strength than the average person, but he always chose the easier method. And one of the wisdoms was that the ummah could practice on the sunnah, and the weak of the ummah would not be deprived of the sunnah. And this is a ni'mah and a bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Considering Nabi alayhi salam had the highest level of trust, tawakkul, taqwa, piety, contentment, all of these sifat, but what? In his own household, he would give his wives a year's supply of grain. But this was not specifically only for the household, but ta'aliman, a teaching, a matter of ease, a permissibility for the ummah to stock up of food. So again, stocking up, not khilaf of tawakkul. Yes, if you're from amongst the mutawakkilin and you're on that level, then you can decide what's your call. But those are for specific people who are on that level. So moving back onto the plotting of batil, plotting of the systems, and we said different countries have been taken to the slaughterhouse. For example, Mexico. So from post 1992, what had happened was they wanted farmers to lose access to land, and these predatory institutional investors, these large agribusinesses, came to buy up and globally, running by different countries, and we're not going to get into details, they amalgamated all the holdings, and they made the farmers dependent on this industrial structure. So from the World Bank to the World Economic Forum, governments are just the facilitators, but the slaughterhouse are for the farmers, and after they get slaughtered, they moving on to humanity. So between that and harnessing, harvesting information, they expounding on this here. So in the era now where data has become the new oil, and that's why we've discussed in portion of the Apocalypse series, privacy, so that you don't become a target. So take one country, India, 2019 onwards, 50,000 mobile phone retailers forced out of business. Why? E-commerce firms. So they started from agriculture and they're moving into every sector from the e-commerce. Klaus, the founder and exec chairman of the WEF, said the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and this is a point here, reset our world. Reset. So where people will lose their liberties, fundamental rights, mass surveillance, promoting just a monopoly from food, agriculture, pharmaceutical corporations, and they used COVID-19 as part of the reset and to accelerate the fourth industrial revolution. Well, what happened actually? Countries became bankrupt, governments, companies, and these forums bought up these monopolies, and economies now have become economies have become restructured, and everything is moving to AI now. Then they push in the agenda of the green economy. We want to save the environment, sustainable consumption, climate emergency. So this is just a bait, and we would call it another, is this carbon credits and offsetting pollution. On one side they're saying that we have in net zero emissions and then we will get carbon credits. It's a whole scheme. It's just revolving around those few. Another financial Ponzi scheme, and it's all about green, the name of green, we call it green imperialism. So if you look at 2020 when the lockdowns happened, the stock market was at a brink of collapse, and to bail out these financial markets which were collapsing, lockdown suspended the engine. It stopped the contagion. So through a lockdown now they restructured the financial systems, they architectured their policies and economies. So it's like you shut down an engine, shut down a structure, so the meter stops. And for Wall Street, multi-trillion-dollar bailout in the name of COVID relief, and thereby controlling the global chain monopolies and these corporations. Millions of jobs eradicated, and it just accelerated their policies. So besides the big financial institutions that benefited and were saved from a crash, the sickly, the ill, the ailing pharmaceutical industry got a bailout as well. So again, public funds now to develop, to create from the vaccine. There was just another lifeline, another money-making scheme. So we can get ready for surveillance system, liberties being taken away, freedom of movement, free speech, and in their words, humanity being useless eaters, unproductive. So this elite, this class wanting to control humanity. So take for example Australia, where you could not protest, you could not gather in public, the right of free speech was suspended. This was just a similitude of the penal code which they want to implement globally. They said zero COVID policy, and COVID passports were being rolled out, restriction of freedom, freedom of movement, access to services, and trillions of dollars were handed over to these elites, and the ordinary people, the small businesses, small enterprises, the big tech giants, the big farmers, the Amazons of the world were just multiplying and increasing. So globally, around 1.6 billion informal workers, that's half of the global workforce, and major job losses. So they didn't care, they don't bother about you, they don't bother about you. You're just another number, and they're ready to extort. So am I out of their plan or in their plan? If we look at April to July 2020, the total wealth which is held by these billionaires around the globe grew from 8 trillion to 10 trillion dollars just in that short period. And on the opposite side, countries were asking for bailouts and for loans, and there was a need for 1 to 2 trillion dollars, and again just fueling the dependency on these few. So these billionaire class with their agendas. So just go onto your everyday products. Look at Coca-Cola, and I'm not going to get into the harms and the cons of it. But is Coke more important or rain? So the slogan is Coke gives life. Normally, water gives life. La ilaha illallah. It's the most essential ingredient on earth. So this ideology, this strategy, this promotion, so they discredit in everything that you would do in the past, any traditional culture, any traditional system, any way of subsistence, anything that will make you independent. So we're going into whether it's the medical herbal field, whether it's the food crops, etc. in every so they've become like the god-like corporations, which is the Dajjali system. The Dajjali system. Across the globe, between 6 and 7,000 individuals, which is 0.00001% of the globe. So these super class, the global elite, and one author has written a book on this year called Super Class, the global power elite and the world they are making. So these are mega corporations. They interlocked. They set agendas from the Trilateral Commission. We've discussed this in detail in the Qiyaamah series in the beginning. Bilderberg Group, the G8, the G20, NATO, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the UN, and included in this whole group are corporations, from the Microsofts to the Googles to the Apples, to the Amazons, to the Metas, to the Facebooks. Alphabet they call it now. BlackRock, Vanguard, and these entities now control governments. So the ECB, the European Central Bank, the Feds, the US Federal Reserve. If you just look at BlackRock and Vanguard, they have more financial assets than ECB and the Fed combined. So it's just a pyramid, smaller investors by larger investors. We go up, 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 up. You'll just see eventually two companies in this pyramid, Vanguard and BlackRock. So if you had to take just a report from Bloomberg, 2017 report, now the figures are even much more crazier. They say by 2028, they would be having total investments worth $20 trillion. Literally owning everything that you should own. $20 trillion. So a summary, this is just a system for domination. It's narcissism at its peak, and plunder. So we need to prepare. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide one and all. The amal for today is that فَإِذَا كَبَّرَ فَكَبِّرُوا. When the Imam says Allahu Akbar, you also say Allahu Akbar, and he says غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ فَقُولُوا آمين. Say Amin, yujibukum Allah. Allah will accept you. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.